Malaysians have been fuming over a cushy deal awarded without open tender to a rather obscure firm founded by the husband of one of PM Anwar Ibrahim's ministers and the former CEO of a pro-Anwar news portal. And rightly so, they should be. As some details emerge from the founders of the firm, Asia Mobility, during a video interview with Trick Lama, it appears the deal could actually involve a shocking 60% fare subsidy for the controversial firm that snared the demand-responsive transit project from the Selangor state government controlled by Anwar's Pakatan Harapan coalition. This at a time when ordinary Malaysians are struggling with skyrocketing electricity and water bills and soon-to-be fuel hikes due to harsh cuts in government subsidies by the Anwar administration. Scary longer-term implications. The longer-term implications are also extremely worrisome. Will the DRT, a fancy name for what is essentially an e-hailing minibus public transport system, be the next parasitic monopoly to be formed? Will the public actually end up paying fares for a feeder service that is currently free of charge? DRT is actually a highfalutin way of saying on-demand vans or bus-on-demand or e-hailing minibus shuttle between house and the MRT stations, heavily subsidized by public funds, writes commentator Syed Akbar Ali in his blog. Say what you like, but that is what it is to the public, the end user. Because that is what you are getting. Except e-hailing is available 24 hours. This one operates for 14 hours only. So Grab, Buddy, EasyCab, InDrive, MyCar etc. are all e-hailing companies. The main difference is the existing e-hailing companies can seat 4 persons and not more than 11 persons including the driver. The DRT is targeting the 12 to 19 passengers niche, using minibuses and drawing heavily upon government subsidies, added Syed Akbar. Gift, but from who to who? The founders of DRT, Ramachandran Muniandi, who is the husband of Youth and Sport Minister Hannah Yeoh, and Primesh Chandran, who is the former chief executive of news portal Malaysia Kini, have claimed the deal is aimed to solve the problems of public transport in the cities of the developing world, and they have national interest at heart here. Yet Malaysians, long accustomed to the corrupt and hypocritical ways of past regimes, remain cynical, with many demanding complete transparency and distrusting the placating assurances from the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission as further examples of how the Anwar administration is now following the abusive tradition of past regimes and turning the anti-graft watchdog into its own barking dog. Some like Syed Akbar bluntly point out there is little value add from Asia Mobility despite the self-praise by Ramachandran and Primesh, arguing that unless fully clarified, it could look more like a gift from Anwar Selangor state government. For example, according to Ramachandran's own comments, for 7 months DRT had 17,000 riders a day. This would mean DRT has been earning 17,000 x Rm 3.00 equals Rm 51,000 in subsidy per day or about Rm 1.5 million subsidy per month. In other words, DRT would have already earned a mind-boggling Rm 10.5 million in subsidies in the past 7 months. Mind-boggling earnings, but still shrouded in secrecy. Yet the deal is still shrouded in secrecy with the total project cost still unknown. What sort of capital expenditure will be required? Will soft loans be granted, or even how long will the concession period be? The 3 senior press guys in the video interview did not ask what is the total project cost. Billion ringgit figures have been mentioned. What is the exact figure? And how are the funds going to be applied? Capex versus OPEX etc., Syed Akbar pressed on. And how long is the concession period? There must be a concession period. 5 years? 15 years? 30 years? Are there any other subsidies, cash grants, soft loans, financial concessions granted by the government? For example, who will own or pay for the minibuses? DRT or the state, asked Syed Akbar. Will another parasitic monopoly be born? Indeed, it does appear the deal desperately needs greater public scrutiny. Not only is it possible for Malaysians to find out too late they may end up footing the bill for greater government debt, but also be forced to live with yet another monopoly that makes money for those who walk the corridors of power, and ultimately result in the people having to dig deeper into already hollowing wallets to pay for a service they now get for free. Fine bro. But can you do it without that 60% subsidy by the public? You said that in your proof of concept for the past 7 months your cost is Rm 5.00 for each passenger. You said the state government pays you a subsidy of Rm 3.00 and you collect Rm 2.00 from the passenger. That is a 60% subsidy. How bright do you have to be and how much talent do you need to run a business where the state government pays you a 60% subsidy for your passenger fare? You don't have to be a rocket scientist, said Syed Akbar. But how can you guarantee that the minibuses will not run empty? You say that to save cost. If there is no booking, the minibus will not run. Okay, but supposing only 3 people book the minibus at a certain time, then the minibus will still have to go and pick them up, even though there are only 3 passengers for a 19-seater minibus. That is not cost-effective at all. It can suddenly become a very high cost per passenger operation. This is where you need that 60% fare subsidy from the state. There is also some confusion over that 60% government subsidy. Right now the feeder buses are free. The people do not have to pay a fare. But their schedules are not reliable. There is also no subsidy because the feeder buses are run by the government. But in this new business model, the government has to pay DRT Rm 3.00 per passenger or a 60% subsidy. That is using public funds. Plus the public must now pay Rm 2.00 each. So the public has to pay for the entire Rm 5.00 cost of operating this business, Syed Akbar pointed out. Little value add, highly dependent on state subsidies. Talk by Asia Mobility's founders of pioneering and even exporting the DRT technology to other Asian countries have also failed to hold water. Wow! Fantastic! But will other Asian countries give you such generous subsidies to run the business which you are getting now? Your business model is heavily dependent on the state government subsidizing your passenger fares, at least 60% subsidy, said Syed Akbar. This technology is not new. It is now quite off the shelf. It is simply e-hailing software which is well established. There are already so many e-taxis, e-parcel delivery services, e-food delivery, e-grocery shopping. So this technology is quite common already. So brother, if this technology is already existing and proven around the world, then how are you going to pioneer your DRT services to other cities in Asia? Perhaps it shall remain Malaysia Mobility after all, added Syed Akbar a tad sarcastically. Indeed, whether long-suffering Malaysians will end up with a true benefit or additional cost of living, greater risk of national indebtedness and second-hand technology is still very much up in the air. All eyes are now on Anwar to walk his anti-corruption talk, but despite some preliminary assurances, little action or follow-through action has come from him.